Boy only had coins for an ice cream on the first date, and her reaction shocked everyone. Jason Miller took a deep breath before pushing the door of the most elegant restaurant in New York City. His hands trembled slightly as he adjusted the shirt he had ironed 3 times that morning. The date arranged through the app would be there, and he knew he had made a mistake accepting that place. The young woman was already at the table when he arrived. A red dress that shimmered under the golden lights of the dining room, hair impeccably styled, she looked like she had stepped out of a magazine. Jason swallowed hard. On the app, Emma had suggested that restaurant, and he, wanting to impress her, had agreed without thinking twice. The waiter approached with a professional smile, holding leather-bound menus. Jason took his with trembling hands and almost let out a groan when he saw the prices. The cheapest dish cost the equivalent of a week's work at the supermarket. Discreetly, he felt the pocket of his pants where he kept the coins he had saved during the week. "Good evening," said Emma, smiling. "You must be Jason Miller." "Yes, that's me. Sorry I'm late," he lied, having actually arrived 20 minutes early and walked around the sidewalk, gathering courage to enter. "Don't worry, I just got here too," she replied, noticing his nervousness. "How about we order something?" "I'm starving." Jason pretended to study the menu while doing desperate calculations in his head. He had exactly $42 in coins and some crumpled bills. Not even an appetizer cost less than that. "You can order first," he said, trying to buy time. "I'm still deciding." Emma ordered a filet with red wine sauce and a salad as an appetizer. Jason felt his stomach churn, not just from hunger, but from shame. When the waiter turned to him expectantly, his voice almost didn't come out. He began, his throat dry. "Just water, please, I'm not very hungry." "Are you sure?" asked Emma, finding it strange. "Yes, I am. I had a late lunch today," another lie. Jason hadn't had a proper lunch in 3 days, saving every penny for that date that was now turning into a complete disaster. The waiter noted the order and walked away. Emma watched him curiously, noticing something strange in his behavior. Jason tried to seem relaxed, but his hands still trembled slightly. "What do you do for work?" she asked, trying to start a conversation. "I'm a business administration student and work at the Value Mart supermarket," he replied, trying not to show shame. "And you?" "I work in management," she said vaguely. In fact, Emma was the daughter of William Bennett, owner of one of the largest supermarket chains in the country, including the Value Mart where Jason worked. But she had created a fake profile on the app precisely to meet people who didn't know about her background. Emma's food arrived a few minutes later. She started eating while Jason just drank water, pretending not to be hungry. The situation became more embarrassing by the minute. "Excuse me," said Emma, standing up. "I'll be right back, just going to the restroom." As soon as she walked away, Jason called the waiter desperately. "Sir, please, I need your help," he whispered. "I didn't know the prices here were so high. I only have $42. Is there anything I can order?" The waiter, a middle-aged man named Richard who had worked there for over 10 years, looked at the young man with understanding. He had seen similar situations before. "Look, on the kids' menu there's a triple popsicle for $15, he said quietly. "It's the only thing that works. Please, bring it to me. And can you put it on a nice tray? I don't want her to think that." "Leave it to me, kid. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. This really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing, Richard returned a few minutes later, carrying a silver tray with 2 colorful ice pops arranged elegantly, as if they were a sophisticated dessert. Jason Miller thanked him with his eyes and placed a $20 bill on the tray. Emma returned to the table and stopped abruptly when she saw the tray, her eyes fixed on the colorful ice pops and then on Jason Miller's red face. "Are those ice pops?" she asked, unable to hide her surprise. "Yeah. Jason stammered, feeling like he wanted to hide under the table. "I ordered a different dessert." Emma was silent for a few seconds that felt like an eternity to Jason. He expected her to laugh, to call the attention of the entire restaurant, to get up and leave. Instead, he saw her eyes fill with tears. "May I have one?" she asked softly. Of course, he replied, confused. Emma took one of the ice pops and took a bite, closing her eyes as if she were savoring the best sweet in the world. "You know something," she said, still chewing. "This is exactly what I've been wanting to eat." Some customers at nearby tables began watching the scene with curiosity. An older woman whispered something to her husband, discreetly pointing at them. "You don't have to do this," said Jason, mortified. "I know you're being polite, but—" "Jason," she interrupted him, taking his hand on the table, "do you have any idea how many dates I've been on where men spent fortunes trying to impress me? And do you know the result? None. But You were honest. You didn't pretend to be someone you're not." The restaurant manager, an elegant man in a dark suit, approached the table with a forced smile. "Excuse me, but you're disturbing the other customers," he said, looking specifically at Jason. "Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at another establishment." Emma's blood rushed to her head. She stood up slowly, still holding the ice pop. "Excuse me, what seems to be the problem?" she asked in a cold voice that Jason had never heard before. "Well, the manager gestured vaguely toward the ice pops, "creating an atmosphere unsuitable for our establishment standards." "Unsuitable," Emma laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. "Do you know who I am?" "No, ma'am, but—" "Emma Bennett, daughter of William Bennett, owner of this restaurant chain." The manager instantly turned pale. Jason felt as if the floor had disappeared beneath his feet. "Miss Bennett, I didn't know—" "And does that matter?" she asked, raising her voice enough for other tables to hear. "Does your treatment of customers depend on who they are?" "No, miss, of course not." "Then why is my companion being treated as a nuisance?" Jason tried to stand up, wanting to get out of there as quickly as possible, but Emma held his arm. "Stay," she whispered. "Please." The entire restaurant was paying attention now. Conversation stopped. Forks paused in mid-air, everyone watching the scene. "You know what I'm going to do?" Emma said to the manager, but speaking loudly enough for everyone to hear. "I'm going to pay for dinner for every customer here who agrees to share an ice pop with someone special." A murmur of surprise ran through the dining room. Some people smiled, others looked shocked. "Miss, that's not necessary," the manager tried. "Oh, but it is. It's exactly necessary." Jason was in complete shock. The daughter of the owner of the chain where he worked was there, publicly defending him, offering to pay hundreds of dollars. "Emma, stop," he said, finally finding his voice. "You don't need to do this for me." "I'm not doing it for you," she replied, looking directly into his eyes. "I'm doing it for me." She turned to the dining room and spoke louder. "Has anyone here ever enjoyed ice cream with their family as a child? Has anyone here ever been happy with simple things?" Some people began to smile. An elderly couple at the corner table stood up. "We want to join in," said the lady with a sweet smile. "Us too," said a family with 2 young children. Gradually, more people joined. The atmosphere, which moments before had been tense and awkward, began to transform into something different. Richard, the waiter, couldn't hide his smile as he wrote down the ice cream orders. "Emma," Jason Miller pulled her by the hand, "I need to talk to you, in private." They went out to the restaurant terrace where the city view shone through the glass. "Why didn't you tell me who you were?" he asked, trying to control his voice. "For the same reason you tried to hide that you didn't have money," she replied. "Because I wanted to be accepted for who I am, not for what I have. But this is different. You are—" "I am what? Rich? Privileged?" Emma leaned against the parapet, looking at the city. "Jason, do you have any idea how many dates I've had with men who were only interested in my money? How many times I pretended to be naive just to see how far they would go? But I work at your father's company. That's strange." "It's a coincidence," she said simply. "The world is smaller than we think." "No, it's not a coincidence." Jason Miller shook his head. "You knew, didn't you? That's why you chose the app. That's why you suggested this place." "No," Emma turned to him, serious. "I created a fake profile precisely to avoid that. I put that I work in management because technically it's true. And I suggested this place because I wanted to test if you were like the others." "Test?" "To see if you would pretend to have money you don't have, if you would lie about who you are, if you would try to impress me with material things." Jason felt a mix of anger and relief. And if I had been like the others? It would have been just another wasted date. And now? Emma took a step toward him. Now I know that you ordered ice cream because it was what you could afford. I know you turned red with embarrassment but didn't lie. I know you tried to protect me even when I was causing a scene. And I know you're more concerned about me than what people will think. They stayed silent for a few moments, the noise of the city reaching them through the glass. I need to tell you something, said Jason Miller. I work at the Value Mart in Upper East Side. I restock products overnight because it pays a little more, and I go to college in the morning with a partial scholarship. I live with my mother and my younger sister in a 2-bedroom apartment in South Bronx. And I need to tell you that I already know all this, replied Emma softly. How? Because I saw you a few times when I went to the store with my mother. You were always polite, always treated her with respect, even without knowing who she was. And because I looked into you before accepting the date. Jason stared at her, processing the information. You investigated me? Let's say I did some basic research, and I liked what I found. What did you find? That you study business administration at City University on a scholarship, that you've been working since you were 16, that your mother is a seamstress and your sister is in her senior year of high school, that you lost your father 5 years ago and you took on the family responsibility. Jason felt a lump in his throat. Talking about his father was always difficult. And that doesn't scare you? A family with financial problems, no stability. What scares me is the idea of meeting someone else who only wants my money, she replied. It scares me. The possibility of spending my whole life being loved for what I have, not for who I am. They went back inside the restaurant where they found a surreal scene. Several tables were sharing ice pops, the children were laughing, and even some of the more serious customers seemed to be having fun. The manager watched everything with an expression somewhere between despair and resignation. I think we started a revolution, said Emma, smiling. I think you started it, corrected Jason Miller. They sat back down at the table. The second ice pop was still untouched on the tray. Can I ask you a question, said Jason Miller. Of course. Why did you agree to go out with me? I mean, on the app I made it clear that I'm a student, that I work at a supermarket. Exactly because of that, she replied. And because in your photos you had a genuine smile. Not posed, not forced. Genuine. And now, he asked, what happens now? Now we finish our ice pops, and you let me take you to see a place I like. What place? It's a surprise. They finished their ice pops amidst the chatter of the other customers, who were still commenting on the unusual event. When they got up to leave, the elderly couple at the corner table waved to them. Thank you, said the lady. It's been years since I've had this much fun in a restaurant. Emma smiled and waved back. On the way out, the manager approached again, visibly nervous. Miss Bennett, about what happened, she interrupted him. I hope it was a lesson. Our customers deserve respect regardless of what they order or how they dress. Yes, miss, of course. And you can cancel everyone's bill. It's on me. The manager nodded quickly and walked away. Outside, Jason Miller stopped on the sidewalk. Emma, that cost a fortune. Why did you do it? Because I can, and because I wanted to, and because sometimes people need to be reminded that happiness comes from simple things. And where are we going now? To a place where no one will judge us for what we order. She called for a ride and they got into the car in silence. Jason Miller watched the city through the window, still trying to process everything that had happened. Do you regret it? Asked Emma. Going out with you? No. Suggesting that restaurant? Yes. I suggested the restaurant. But I should have said I couldn't afford it. And I should have told you who I was. She put her hand on his. We're even. The car stopped in front of a simple ice cream parlor in Williamsburg. The place was small, colorful, with a few plastic tables on the sidewalk and Brazilian music playing softly. Here? Asked Jason Miller, surprised. Here. It's my favorite place in the city. They got out and sat at one of the little tables. The owner of the ice cream parlor, a cheerful lady about 60 years old, approached smiling. Hi, Em, she said, hugging Emma. It's been so long. Hi, Mrs. Wilson. This is Jason Miller. Nice to meet you, dear. First time here? First, he replied, still surprised by their familiarity. Then you'll have to try our specialty. M, the usual. That's fine. Mrs. Wilson came back a few minutes later with 2 huge chocolate ice cream sundaes with colorful syrups, whipped cream, and cherries. Wow, said Jason Miller. This looks like those ice creams they sold at school when I was a kid. Exactly, said Emma. Mrs. Wilson makes ice cream like they used to, her grandmother's recipes. And how do you know this place? Emma stirred her ice cream before answering. When I was about 15, I ran away from home after a bad fight with my father. I was walking down the street crying when Mrs. Wilson called me inside. She gave me ice cream and talked with me until I calmed down. What did you fight about? He wanted to put me in a super expensive private school, and I wanted to stay in the public school where I studied with my friends. It seems silly now, but back then it was the end of the world for me. And what happened? Mrs. Wilson made me understand that my father only wanted the best for me, even if it was in a way I didn't like. And she made me see that I could talk to him instead of running away. Did it work? Sort of. I ended up going to the private school, but I managed to keep in touch with my friends from the public school, and ever since, whenever I need to think or relax, I come here. They ate their ice cream in silence for a few minutes. The place was simple but cozy, with old photographs of neighborhood families on the walls and an atmosphere completely different from the restaurant they were at before. "Can I ask you a nosy question?" said Jason Miller. "Go ahead. Are you happy? I mean, with this whole life of being an heiress, companies, responsibilities." Emma stopped eating and became thoughtful. "You know, until today I thought I was. But seeing you so uncomfortable in that restaurant, seeing how you were more worried about me than about what people would think, I think I realized something was always missing." "What?" "Authenticity. People who see me as Emma, not as Robert Bennett's daughter. And now? Now I'm here eating ice cream with someone who met me as Emma from the app, and for the first time in a long time I feel myself." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. Mrs. Wilson approached again, bringing 2 coffees. "On the house," she said, winking at Emma. "And you make a beautiful couple." "Mrs. Wilson," Emma turned red. "What?" "It's true. Just look at how you look at each other." Jason Miller smiled shyly. It was true, he felt a connection with Emma that he hadn't felt with anyone before, but the difference between them seemed like an insurmountable gap. "Mrs. Wilson, can I ask you a question?" he said. "Of course, dear. Do you think 2 very different people can make it work together?" She looked at Emma, then at him, and smiled. "My late husband was Italian. I'm from the Northeast. He was a doctor. I barely finished elementary school. He liked opera, I liked Foro. Do you think we were alike?" "No," they both answered. "And we were married for 43 years. Differences don't separate people, dears. What separates them is not wanting to make it work." She moved away to attend to other customers, leaving the 2 thoughtful. "Jason," said Emma, breaking the silence, "can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Forget for a moment who I am. Forget my family, my money, all of it. And tell me, did you enjoy being with me today?" "I did," he answered sincerely. "I enjoyed it a lot." "Me too. So how about we do this? Let's get to know each other as Jason Miller and Emma. 2 normal people who met on an app. No pressure, no expectations, just seeing where it goes. And when reality shows up? We'll deal with it when it shows up." They finished their ice cream and coffee talking about simple things, movies they liked, music they listened to, dreams they had. Jason Miller talked about his wish to one day have his own business. Emma told him about her desire to work with social projects. "You know," she said, "at my father's company there's a scholarship program for employees to get their degrees." "Emma," Jason Miller interrupted her, "remember what you said about it just being Jason and Emma?" "I remember." "Then let's keep it that way, at least for today." She smiled and agreed. When they left the ice cream parlor, it was past 10 at night. On the sidewalk, they stood there not quite knowing how to say goodbye. "Can I give you a ride home?" asked Emma. "I think it's better not. South Bronx is far and you've already spent too much today. Jason Miller. It's fine, really. I always take the bus back anyway. Then at least let me pay for your fare. You don't need to, but I want to. Emma, he took her hands. Today you made me feel like I was special. Not because of money, not because of favors, but for who I am. That's priceless. You are special. So are you. They hugged on the sidewalk, a long, tight embrace that seemed to sum up everything that had happened that night. Will we see each other again? She asked. If you want to. I do. But next time I pick the place. Deal. Jason waited for her to get into the rideshare car and wave through the window before heading to the bus stop. The whole way back home he couldn't stop smiling. At home he found his mother, Margaret, watching television in the small living room of the apartment. She was a 52-year-old woman, with greying hair and hands marked by years of sewing work. How was the date? She asked, without taking her eyes off the screen. Different than I expected, replied Jason, sitting next to her. Different how? The girl. She's special, Mum. Rich? Asked Margaret with a tone of concern. Why do you ask that? Son, you came in here with a smile I haven't seen in years, and I know you. You only get like this when something seems too good to be true. Jason sighed. His mother could always read his expressions. She has money, yes, but that's not what matters. Jason, my son. Margaret turned off the television and turned to him. People with money and people like us live in different worlds. That's not prejudice, it's reality. But she's not like other rich people. She's down to earth, she likes normal things. For now she does. But what happens when the novelty wears off, when her family finds out? When she gets tired of playing at being poor? Mom, you don't know her. And do you? Margaret took her son's hands. Jason, I know you're a good man. I know you work hard and deserve to be happy, but I also know how the world works. People like us aren't accepted in certain social circles. What if she's different? Then I'll be happy to have been wrong, but promise me you'll take it slow, that you won't get your hopes up too high. I promise, Mom. Margaret kissed her son's forehead and stood up. Now go to sleep. You have work early tomorrow. Jason went to the bedroom he shared with his 17-year-old sister Megan, who was studying for her college entrance exams with a stack of books borrowed from the library. So, bro? She asked without looking up from her books. How was it with the rich girl? She's not a rich girl. Oh, no? Megan finally looked at him. What kind of woman sets up a date at a restaurant where the plates cost $200? How do you know how much it costs? I looked it up on Google after you left. I almost had a heart attack. Jason sat on the bed and told his sister everything that had happened, from the ice pops to the ice cream shop in Williamsburg. Wow, said Megan when he finished. Whose daughter is she again? William Bennett, owner of the Value Mart chain. Your boss? Shh. Jason looked at the door. Mom will hear. Bro, you went out with your boss's daughter. That's crazy. I was going to say amazing, but crazy works too. So now what? What do I do? Megan closed the book and looked at her brother seriously. Look, you've always been the most honest guy I know. If she liked you, it's because of that. Don't change who you are just because you found out she has money. But people will talk. Let them talk. Do you care more about what people will say or about your happiness? About my happiness, but then that's it. Go for it, bro. Just be careful not to get hurt. Jason slept little that night, thinking about everything that had happened. The next day, he arrived at work earlier than usual and dedicated himself even more to his duties, as if wanting to prove he deserved to be there. During his break, he received a message from Emma. Good morning. How was the rest of your night? He replied, Quiet, and yours? Thinking about what happened yesterday. Are you free Saturday afternoon? I am. Why? I want to show you a project I'm developing. Nothing fancy, I promise. Okay. Where should we meet? I'll send you the address later. And Jason? Yes? Thank you for yesterday. It had been a while since I had that much fun. Jason Miller put his phone away, smiling. but soon noticed some colleagues watching him curiously. "What's up, Jay?" said Kevin, a guy his age who worked the register. "Who's the hottie texting you?" "No one special," lied Jason. "From your smile, she seems pretty special to me." "Stop being so nosy, Kevin." For the rest of the week, Jason and Emma texted daily. Simple conversations about their days, jokes, photos of food, songs they were listening to. Nothing that indicated the social difference between them. On Saturday, Jason headed to the address Emma had sent. It was a neighborhood on the outskirts of the East Side, very different from the places he imagined she would frequent. He found her in front of a simple building, wearing jeans and a t-shirt, with her hair in a ponytail. She looked like a completely different person from the elegant woman at the restaurant. "Hi," she said, smiling. "Hi, what is this place?" "Come on, I'll show you." They entered the building and went up to the 3rd floor. Emma opened a door that led to a large room where several women were working at sewing machines. "Welcome to the Weaving Dreams project," she said. Jason looked around, impressed. It was a sewing workshop, but it also looked like a community center. There was a corner with toys where some children played while their mothers worked. "What is this?" he asked. "A seamstress cooperative I started 2 years ago. It began with 5 women and now has 30. An older woman approached them, smiling. "Hi, Em," she said, hugging Emma. "Is this the young man you mentioned?" "This is Jason Miller. Jason, this is Mrs. Henderson, our coordinator." "Nice to meet you," said Mrs. Henderson. "Em talks about you a lot." Jason looked at Emma, surprised. "She does?" "Only good things," laughed Mrs. Henderson. "Come, let me show you our work." She took them to see the workshop. The women produced simple but well-finished clothes, which were sold at fairs and online. "The idea is to provide financial independence for women in vulnerable situations," explained Emma. "Many are single mothers, others are leaving abusive relationships, some have never had the opportunity to work." "And how does it work?" "Each one gets paid based on what they produce, but there's also a support system. We take care of the children while they work. We offer literacy courses for those who need them. We have psychological support groups." "This is incredible," said Jason, genuinely impressed. "Want to meet some of the girls?" Emma introduced him to several women. Each one had an impressive story of overcoming adversity. Mrs. Johnson, who had started there after losing her job at 50. Jessica, 22 years old, a mother of 2 young children who had never worked a formal job before. Claire, who was rebuilding her life after leaving a violent relationship. "And you manage all this by yourself?" asked Jason when they sat down in a small kitchen to have coffee. "I have help. Mrs. Henderson handles the operational side. We have a volunteer psychologist and accountant who does our books for free. But who pays for everything? At the beginning, I invested my own money. Now the cooperative supports itself almost entirely through sales. I only need to help with a few specific things. Does your father know?" Emma lowered her eyes. "My father thinks I'm wasting time and money. He'd rather I worked at his company, learning to manage real business." "And what do you think?" "I think this is a real business. These women support their families with their work. They have dignity, independence, purpose. What could be more real than that?" Jason Miller fell silent, watching her. The Emma standing there had nothing to do with the image he had of a spoiled, rich heiress. "Why did you bring me here?" he asked. "Because I wanted you to know who I really am. Not William Bennett's daughter, not the girl from the expensive restaurant, the Emma who believes money only has value when it serves to improve people's lives." "And who is that Emma?" "Someone who wants to build something that makes a difference in the world. Someone who believes success isn't measured just by what you accumulate, but by what you leave behind." They stayed another 2 hours at the cooperative. Jason Miller talked with the women, played with the children, saw up close how that system Emma had created worked. When they left, it was already getting dark. "And now?" asked Emma. "How about we grab something simple for dinner?" "You're paying?" "I'm paying." "Then you pick the place." She took him to a local diner in the neighborhood, a small family place where they served sandwiches and fresh orange juice. "Can I ask you a question?" said Jason Miller. "Sure." "Why don't you work at your father's company? I mean, you obviously have a talent for business administration. Because at my father's company, I'd always be the boss's little girl. Here, I'm just Em who wants to help. And that's important to you. It's essential. I want people to respect me for what I do, not for the last name I carry. I understand, said Jason Miller. It's kind of how I feel at the supermarket. I want to get promoted because I'm good at what I do, not because someone feels sorry for me. Exactly. They finished eating and walked through the neighborhood streets. It was an interesting contrast. Her, used to the city's upscale neighborhoods, discovering the simple life of the outskirts. Him, who knew that world well, seeing it through the eyes of someone who had chosen to be there. Emma, said Jason Miller, when they stopped at a small square. I need to tell you something. Go ahead. I'm falling in love with you, she smiled. I'm falling in love with you too. But I'm scared. Of what? That this is an illusion, that when reality hits, we'll find out we're too different. We are different, she said honestly. But is that necessarily a bad thing? I don't know, I've never been through this before. Me neither. They sat on a bench in the square. Some children played nearby. Couples walked by holding hands. The simple life of the neighborhood unfolded around them. Can I ask you for something? Said Emma. Sure. How about we take it slow? No expectations, no pressure, without thinking about what could go wrong, just living one day at a time. And if it goes wrong? If it goes wrong, at least we tried. And if it works out, we'll figure out together what that means. Jason Miller took her hand. Okay, let's try. On Monday, Jason Miller returned to work with a different energy. There was something about getting to know Emma that made him feel more confident, more optimistic about the future. During his break, he received an unexpected call. Jason Miller? This is Fernanda from Human Resources Management. Hi, Fernanda. Is something wrong? No, nothing serious. I just wanted to let you know you've been selected for the company's scholarship program. Your application was approved. Jason Miller nearly dropped the phone. Really? Really? You'll receive financial aid to finish college, and if you perform well, you can apply for a trainee position after graduation. I didn't even know I'd been selected for the second round. Well, you were. Congratulations. The documents are here at the management office whenever you want to pick them up. Jason Miller hung up in shock. The scholarship would solve all his financial problems with college. He could focus more on studies and less on side jobs. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. But a doubt began to gnaw at his mind. Was it a coincidence? Or had Emma interfered in the process? That night he called her. Emma, I need to ask you something and I want you to be honest with me. Of course, what is it? Did you have anything to do with my approval for the company's scholarship program? There was silence on the other end of the line. Why are you asking that? Because it was very convenient. Right after we met, I get approved for a program I didn't even know I was applying to. Jason Miller. Emma, please, be honest. Yes, she said finally. I spoke to HR about you. Jason Miller felt his stomach sink. How could you do that? Because you deserve it. Because you're the best employee the company has in your department. Because you're dedicated, intelligent. It's not about that, he interrupted. It's about you deciding for my life without consulting me. You just wanted to help me. I know. But it wasn't help, Emma. It was charity. It wasn't charity. It was recognition. You've been on the candidate list for months. You just needed someone to put in a good word for you. And you thought you had the right to be that person? Jason Miller, I didn't want you to find out like this. How did you want me to find out? Never? Did you want me to think it was on my own merit? It was on your own merit. I just sped up a process that was already happening. You don't understand, Jason Miller sighed, tired. This changes everything between us. Why? Because now I'll never know if I achieved things on my own or because I'm dating you. Jason Miller, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous? Imagine if the situation were reversed. Imagine if you found out you got something just because you're with me. Emma was silent for a few seconds. "Are you breaking up with me?" she asked, her voice choked. "I don't know. I need to think. Jason Miller, please. Let's talk in person. Let me explain properly. I can't right now. I need some time to think." He hung up and sat on the bed, his head in his hands. Megan, who was studying at the table, looked at him worriedly. "What's wrong, bro?" Jason Miller told his sister what had happened. "Man, you're being so dramatic," she said when he finished. "What do you mean?" "The girl likes you and wants to help you. What's the problem?" "The problem is that now I'll always wonder if the things I achieved were because of my own merit or hers. And if she hadn't said anything and you'd never been approved, would you be happy knowing you missed an opportunity? At least I'd know I lost on my own merit." "Jason Miller, you're too proud. Sometimes accepting help isn't weakness, it's smart. Easy to say when it's not you." "No, it's not. Remember when my math teacher gave me free extra lessons because she knew we couldn't afford a tutor? Should I have refused out of pride? It's different. It's the same. The difference is you're in love and it's messing with your head." Jason Miller spent the next 3 days avoiding Emma's calls and messages. He threw himself into work and studies, trying not to think about it, but it was impossible. Everything reminded him of her. On Thursday, when he got home, he found an envelope under the door. Inside was a handwritten letter from Emma. "Jason Miller, I know you don't want to talk to me right now, but I need you to know a few things. First, you're right. I shouldn't have interfered in your professional life without consulting you. It was presumptuous of me to think I knew what was best for you. Second, you're also wrong. It wasn't charity. It wasn't a favor. The scholarship program has been around for 5 years. Dozens of employees have already benefited. You've been on the candidate list since last year. All I did was confirm to HR that you're an honest and dedicated person, things they already knew. Third, if you don't want to be with me anymore because of this, I'll understand, but know that the last thing I wanted was to belittle you or make you feel less capable. You're the most honest, hard-working and dignified man I've ever known. With or without a scholarship, with or without me, you'll achieve everything you want in life. Love, Emma P.S. If you decide you don't want to see me anymore, at least keep the scholarship. You deserve it." Jason Miller read the letter 3 times before putting it away. That night, he had a long talk with his mother. "Mom, can I ask for your advice?" "Of course, son." He told Margaret the whole situation, from the first date to the discovery about the scholarship. "So now what?" he asked when he finished. "Now you need to decide what's more important, your pride or your happiness." "It's not just pride, Mom. It's a matter of principles." "Jason Miller, you've been working since you were 16. You studied your whole life with borrowed books. You never asked anyone for anything, never got anything handed to you on a silver platter. One thing is certain, you didn't get where you are by favor. You got there on merit. But now? How will I know if my future achievements are mine? Because you'll continue to be who you've always been, hard-working, honest, dedicated. People may open doors for you, son, but you're the one who has to walk through them. And Emma? Emma seems like a good girl. But regardless, you need to forgive her if you want to move forward, and you need to forgive yourself too. Why? For being afraid. It's normal to be scared when we fall in love, especially when the person is very different from us, but you can't let fear ruin a good thing. The next day, Jason Miller called Emma. "Can we talk?" he asked. "Sure. Where do you want to meet?" "At Mrs. Wilson's ice cream shop, if you want." "I do. What time? 7 tonight?" "I'll be there." Jason Miller arrived at the ice cream shop a few minutes before the scheduled time. Mrs. Wilson greeted him with a worried smile. "Where's Em?" she asked. "She's coming. We had a misunderstanding." "Oh dear, that's normal. Couples who don't fight don't truly love each other." "You think so?" "I'm sure. The important thing is to know how to apologize when you're wrong and forgive when the other is wrong." Emma arrived exactly at 7. She was more serious than usual, but smiled when she saw him. "Hi," she said, sitting at the table. "Hi. Thank you for coming." Thank you for calling me." Mrs. Wilson brought 2 ice creams without them ordering. "On the house," she said, winking, "to help make peace." They ate in silence for a few minutes before Jason Miller spoke. "I got your letter." "And?" "And you're right about some things, but I'm also right about others." "I know. You had the right to know from the beginning. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I was afraid you'd refuse the help out of pride, and because I didn't want you to feel obligated to stay with me out of gratitude. And now? Now I want you to do what you think is best. If you want to stay at the company, stay. If you want to leave, leave. If you want to be with me, be with me. If you want to end things, go ahead. But do it because it's what you want, not out of pride or hurt feelings." Jason Miller watched her. She seemed different, more vulnerable. It was as if she had taken off all her masks. "Emma, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Promise me you'll never make decisions about my life without consulting me again." "I promise." "And promise me that if I accept your help with anything, it won't be out of pity or because you think I'm inferior." "Jason, I never—" "Promise?" "I promise. But you need to promise me something too." "What?" "That you won't let pride destroy us. That you'll let me be a real part of your life, with all the flaws and qualities, the rights and wrongs." "All right, I promise." They finished their ice cream, talking about how they wanted their relationship to be from then on. They agreed to be more honest with each other, to discuss important decisions together, and not to try to change one another. "And now?" asked Emma when they left the ice cream parlor. "Now we start over, the right way this time." "What would the right way be?" "Getting to know each other's families, publicly acknowledging we're together, dealing with problems that come up together." "You want to meet my family?" "I do, especially your father." "Jason, my father is complicated." "I imagine. But if we're going to be together, he'll be part of my life too. Better to meet him soon." "And you want me to meet your family?" "I do. I think you'll like my mother, and Megan is already crazy to meet you." They arranged to meet the following weekend. First, Jason would have dinner at Emma's house on Saturday. On Sunday, she would have lunch with his family. On Saturday, Jason took a bus to Beverly Hills, where the Bennett family home was. It was a huge mansion, with well-kept gardens and a garage with 3 imported cars. Emma greeted him at the door wearing more formal clothes. "Nervous?" she asked. "A little. You?" "Very. My father doesn't know anything about you beyond what I told him yesterday." "And what did you tell him?" "That I'm dating a guy who works at the company and is a business administration student." "That's it?" "I thought it best not to go into details about our difference in situation." They entered the house, which was even more impressive inside. Expensive furniture, artwork on the walls, an elegant atmosphere that was intimidating. Emma's mother, Victoria, greeted them in the living room. She was an elegant woman of about 50, friendly but reserved. "Nice to meet you, Jason," she said, shaking his hand. "The pleasure is mine, Mrs. Victoria. Emma has told me a lot about you. She said you met on an app." "Yes, ma'am. We talked for a few weeks before meeting in person." William Bennett appeared a few minutes later. He was a tall man with graying hair, with the commanding presence of someone used to being in charge. "This is Jason," said Emma, with some tension in her voice. "William Bennett," said the man, shaking Jason's hand firmly. "Emma told me you work at one of our stores." "Yes, sir, at the Value Mart in Upper East Side." "How long?" 2 years. "And what do you do there?" "Restocking merchandise on the night shift and covering customer service when needed." William nodded, assessing him with a businessman's eyes. During dinner, the conversation was polite but tense. William asked direct questions about Jason's family, his career plans, his financial situation. Jason answered honestly, without trying to sugarcoat reality. "And your parents?" asked William. "My father passed away 5 years ago. My mother is a seamstress and my sister is finishing high school. I'm sorry for your loss, and how do you get by?" "I've been working since I was 16. My mother has regular clients we manage. And college." I have a partial scholarship and now I've been selected for the company's program. William looked at Emma with an expression Jason couldn't decipher. Emma told me about her social project, said Jason, trying to change the subject. It's very impressive. Oh yes, said William, with a slightly ironic tone. The Seamstresses Project. Daddy, Emma warned him. What? You spend a fortune on a project that barely sustains itself. You could be learning to manage real businesses. That is a real business, Emma retorted. A real business makes a profit, daughter. Not everything in life is about profit, said Jason without thinking. An awkward silence fell over the table. William looked at him with renewed interest. Explain that, he said. Sorry, I didn't mean to interfere. No, I'm curious. Go on. Jason took a deep breath. Well, I think a business can also have social value. If it improves people's lives, creates decent jobs, builds community, that's also a kind of return. You sound like someone who's never had to support a family, said William. Actually, sir, I've been supporting my family since I was 16. Then you should understand the importance of profit. I do, but I also understand there are things more important than money. William leaned back in his chair, studying Jason. Like what? Dignity, purpose, the feeling that your work makes a difference in someone's life. Pretty words, but pretty words don't pay bills. True. But paid bills don't guarantee happiness. And do you think my daughter would be happy in poverty? Daddy. Emma became agitated. Let it go, Emma, said Jason calmly. It's a fair question. He turned to William. Mr. Bennett, I can't offer your daughter the material comfort she has here, but I can offer respect, companionship, loyalty, and I can promise I'll work hard to build a good life for both of us. Working at a supermarket? Working at whatever's necessary. Today it's a supermarket, tomorrow it could be something else. The important thing is to work honestly. William remained silent for a few moments. Do you have ambition, Jason? Yes, I do. What kind of ambition? I want to finish college. I want to have my own business someday. I want to be able to provide a comfortable life for my family. What kind of business? I'm not exactly sure yet. Maybe something in business administration, consulting for small businesses. What if I offered you a position at my company, starting from the bottom, but with growth prospects? Jason looked at Emma, who seemed as surprised as he was. That would be a great opportunity, sir, but I'd like to know why you're making this offer. Because I want to test your intentions. I want to see if you're interested in my daughter or the opportunities she might provide. I understand. And how would this offer be a test? If you accept, I'll know you're opportunistic. If you refuse, I'll know you're too proud to accept help. Jason smiled. What if I say I need to think about it? Then I'll know you're smart. Then I need to think. William also smiled, for the first time that evening. Good answer. The rest of the dinner went more relaxed. William still asked pointed questions, but the tone was less hostile. Victoria became more receptive, asking about Jason's family and showing genuine interest. Your mother must be a strong woman, she said. Raising 2 children alone isn't easy. Yes, ma'am. She's the strongest person I know. I'd like to meet her someday. She'd be honored. When dinner ended, William called Jason for coffee in the office, while Emma and Victoria stayed in the living room. Jason, I'll be direct with you, said William, pouring 2 cups of coffee. My daughter has never brought anyone home to meet the family. In 25 years, you're the first. I understand. That means she's serious about this, and if she's serious, I need to be serious too. That makes sense. You seem like a decent young man, hard-working, honest, respectful, but you also seem like someone who won't be easily pushed around. I'm not sure I follow. Emma is used to getting everything she wants. If she wants something, she just buys it. If she wants to travel, she travels. If she wants to start a project, she starts it. She's never had to adjust to anyone else's pace. And you think that could be a problem? I think it could be a challenge for both of you. Any relationship is a challenge, Mr. Bennett. The difference is some are worth it. And this one is. For me, it is. And I hope it is for her, too. William nodded thoughtfully. About that job offer? Yes? I was serious. Not because of Emma, but because the company always needs dedicated people. If you're interested, you can start as a trainee after you graduate. What about Emma? Wouldn't that be awkward? Emma doesn't work at the company. She has her own projects. You wouldn't have to mix business with pleasure. Can I think about it? You can, but don't take too long. Opportunities like this don't come every day. When they returned to the living room, Emma and Victoria were chatting animatedly about the seamstresses' cooperative. Your mum wants to visit the project, Emma said to Jason. Really? Yes, Victoria replied. I find what you're doing there interesting. Maybe we can contribute in some way. That would be great. On their way out, William shook Jason's hand. It was a pleasure meeting you. I hope to see you again. The pleasure was mine, Mr. Bennet. Victoria kissed him on the cheek. You're always welcome here whenever you like. Thank you, Mrs. Bennet. Outside, Emma walked him to the bus stop. So, what did you think? She asked. Your parents are interesting. Translation: my dad was a pain. He wasn't a pain. He was protective. I get it. Really, I thought he was too hard on you. Emma, if I had a daughter and some guy showed up to date her, I'd ask the same questions. Even knowing the daughter is independent and capable of making her own decisions, especially knowing that, it means any man who gets close to her has to be really special. Emma smiled and kissed him on the cheek. You are special. We'll see. Tomorrow it's your turn to face the Inquisition. I'm nervous. My family is simpler, but they're also more direct. Be ready. On Sunday, Emma arrived at Jason's family's apartment carrying a grocery bag. I brought a few things for lunch, she said. You didn't have to, Margaret replied, welcoming her at the door. I wanted to contribute. The apartment was small but very clean and tidy. Margaret had gone all out with the cleaning and the meal. Megan was dressed in her best clothes. So you're the famous Emma, Megan said, smiling, and you're Megan, who's taking the college entrance exam this year. I am, if I can pass. You will, Emma said. Jason told me you're very smart. During lunch, the conversation was very different from the night before. Margaret asked about Emma's family, but in a warm way, genuinely interested in getting to know her better. And your parents? What are they like? She asked. My mom is very sweet, kind of like you. My dad is more serious. Every dad is serious when it comes to his daughter, Margaret laughed. It's true, he gave Jason the full 3rd degree yesterday. And how did it go? Jason did great. He answered everything honestly and won my dad over. Of course he did, Megan said. My brother can be stubborn, but he's a good guy. Hey, Jason protested. It's true and you know it. Emma offered to help in the kitchen after lunch, and Margaret accepted. While they washed the dishes together, they talked privately. Can I ask you a personal question? Said Margaret. Of course. Do you really like my son, or are you just having fun? Emma stopped washing the plate she was holding. Mrs. Margaret, I'm not having fun. I'm falling in love. And does he know that? He does. And I know he's falling for me too. Have you talked about the future? We have. We know it won't be easy. We'll face prejudice from both sides, but we want to try. And are you prepared for that? Honestly? I don't know, I've never been in a situation like this, but I know I don't want to lose Jason Miller out of fear. Margaret watched her for a few moments before smiling. I liked your answer. Honest and brave. Do you approve of me? Young lady, I approve of anyone who makes my son happy, and he hasn't stopped smiling since he met you. Megan joined them in the kitchen. Can I say something? She said to Emma. Of course. My brother has never brought any girlfriend home. You're the first. Really? Really. He always said he would only introduce someone to us if it was serious. And what do you think about that? I think it means he's sure about you. When they returned to the living room, Jason Miller was organizing his college books on the table. What are you doing? Asked Emma. Showing you how I study. I wanted you to see that I take it seriously. Emma sat beside him and flipped through some notebooks. The notes were neat, organized, showing dedication. "You have nice handwriting," she said. "My mom taught me. She said messy handwriting was disrespectful to the reader." "Your mom is wise." "Yes. And she likes you." "How do you know?" "Because she was smiling while talking to you in the kitchen. My mom only smiles like that when she genuinely likes someone." In the late afternoon, as Emma was getting ready to leave, Margaret pulled her aside. "Emma, can you come here for a minute?" They went to the boys' room, where Margaret showed an old photograph on the bedside table. "This was Jason Miller's father," she said. "He was handsome. He looked like Jason Miller. He was a good man, hard-working, honest, dedicated to his family. He died in a traffic accident on his way home from work." "I'm so sorry." "Jason Miller took on responsibilities that weren't his. He became a man before his time. Sometimes I feel guilty about that." "Why?" "Because he sacrificed part of his youth to take care of us. He never had much fun, never had a serious relationship, never thought only of himself. And now? Now he found you. And for the first time in years I see him thinking about his own future, his own dreams." "Mrs. Margaret, let me finish. I know you're very different. I know it won't be easy. But I also know my son deserves to be happy. And if you can make him happy, you have my blessing." Emma felt her eyes fill with tears. "Thank you for trusting me. Just promise me one thing. Anything. If one day you can no longer handle our differences, break up with him properly. Don't slowly disappear. Don't make excuses. He deserves honesty. I promise, but I hope that never becomes necessary." At the farewell, the whole family hugged Emma. Megan said she wanted to visit her at the cooperative. Margaret invited her to come for lunch whenever she wanted. "Your family is wonderful," Emma said to Jason Miller when they went down to the street. "They're simple people, but all heart. The heart is what matters." They walked to the bus stop in silence, absorbing everything that had happened over the weekend. "And now?" asked Jason Miller. "Now we admit we're dating and face whatever comes. Are you ready?" "No, but I want to be." "Me too." On Monday, both their lives changed drastically. Jason Miller arrived at work and noticed his colleagues were looking at him differently. The news that he was dating the boss's daughter had spread. "What's up, brother-in-law?" joked Kevin. "Now that you're the boss's son-in-law, are you going to cut us some slack?" "Nothing has changed," Jason replied seriously. "I'm still the same employee as always." "Oh, come on, everyone knows you've got protection now." "I don't have any protection, and if anyone thinks I'm going to treat you differently, they're mistaken." But Jason noticed the workplace dynamic had indeed shifted. Some colleagues distanced themselves out of jealousy or suspicion. Others tried to get closer, thinking they could benefit from the situation. The supervisor, Mr. Thompson, called him during the break. "Jason, we need to talk." "Of course, Mr. Thompson." "There are some comments going around about you and the boss's daughter." "What kind of comments?" "That you're dating her to get ahead, that now you'll want special privileges." "Do you believe that?" "I've known you for 2 years, son. I know what kind of person you are, but other employees are uneasy." "What do you think I should do?" "Keep being who you've always been. Work like you've always worked. Let people see that nothing has changed." "That's what I intend to do." "And Jason?" "Yes?" "Be careful. Social standing is a delicate thing. Some people will root against you." Emma faced similar problems in her social circle. Friends who always surrounded her began making nasty comments. "So it's true you're dating some poor guy?" asked Ashley, one of her friends, during lunch. "I'm dating Jason Miller," Emma replied, controlling her irritation. "Oh, Em, for heaven's sake, with so many interesting men in our circle." "Interesting men like who? Like Tyler, who only talks about money? Like Brandon, who cheats on all his girlfriends?" "At least they're from our social class." "And what does that mean?" "It means you won't have to worry about supporting anyone, that you won't have to put up with some poor mother-in-law, that your children won't be ashamed of their father's family." Emma stood up from the table. "Ashley, you've always been shallow, but I never thought you were prejudiced." "I'm not prejudiced. I'm realistic." "You're ignorant. And if you keep talking about Jason like that, our friendship ends here." Emma left the restaurant, leaving Ashley and the other friends speechless. On her way home, she called Jason. "How was your day?" she asked. "Complicated. And yours?" "Same. Want to meet up and talk? Sure. Where? At Mrs. Wilson's ice cream shop? Perfect. They met an hour later and spent time talking about the difficulties they were facing. Maybe everyone is right, said Jason, discouraged. Maybe we really are too different. Do you want to give up? I don't. But I also don't want you to lose your friendships because of me. Jason, those people aren't my friends. Real friends would support my happiness. And at work? Is it hard for you too? Actually, I don't work directly with anyone. My project is independent, but my family is getting calls from curious friends. What kind of calls? Asking if it's true I'm dating an employee, if my father approves, if I'm not being naive. And how are your parents handling it? My mother is defending you, my father is observing. Observing what? How you'll handle the pressure, whether you'll stay the same person or change now that you're part of the family. Jason sighed. Sometimes I think it would have been easier if we'd met under different circumstances, but we didn't meet that way. We met like this way, in this situation. And it has to work this way, and if it doesn't, it will, because we want it to. In the following days, they developed strategies to handle the external pressures. They agreed they wouldn't hide the relationship, but they also wouldn't make a big deal about it. Jason Miller would continue working normally, without asking for favors or special treatment. Emma would keep running her projects, but would start including Jason Miller in some activities. Over the weekend, she took him to meet other friends, people involved in social work who had values more aligned with theirs. Jason Miller, these are my friends from the Adult Literacy Project, she said, introducing him to a group of young professionals. Everyone, this is my boyfriend. The reactions were completely different. People asked questions about his work, his studies, his plans, without any prejudice or judgment. It's so good that Em found someone who understands the importance of social work, said Olivia, one of the friends. We were getting worried about the guys she'd been meeting lately. How so? Asked Jason Miller. Oh, some show-offs who only talked about money and status. So annoying. Jason Miller works in a completely different field, but he understands the importance of what we do, said Emma. And are you interested in participating in a project? Asked Richard, one of the young men. Yes, I am. Actually, I have some ideas I'd like to discuss with you. They spent the afternoon talking about social projects, partnership possibilities, ways to engage the community. Jason Miller felt at home for the first time since the relationship became public. I liked your friends, he said to Emma when they left. They liked you too. Richard even said you should attend the group's next meeting. Really? Really? He was interested in your idea of management courses for micro-entrepreneurs. It's something I've always wanted to do. Use what I'm learning in college to help people who have small businesses but don't know how to manage them. Why have you never moved forward with it? Lack of time, money, contacts, the basic things. What if we did it together? How? You with the technical knowledge, me with the contacts and resources, a real partnership. Jason Miller stopped on the sidewalk and looked at her. You would do that? Of course. Why not? Because it's my dream, not yours. Jason Miller, when you love someone, that person's dreams become your dreams too. He kissed her right there on the street, a long, passionate kiss that made some passers-by smile. I love you, he said when they separated. I love you too. It was the first time they had declared their love for each other. The words hung in the air for a few seconds, full of meaning. Really? She asked. Really, I truly love you, Emma. That's good, because I truly love you too. They walked back home holding hands, planning the future together for the first time since they met. The following week, Jason Miller received an unexpected offer. William Bennett called him into his office. Jason Miller, I'm here to formalize that conversation we had at dinner. Yes, sir. I would like to offer you a position at the company, a trainee in business administration with growth prospects based on performance. That's a very generous offer, Mr. Bennett. But I need to ask, is this offer based on my merit or on the fact that I'm dating your daughter? William Bennett smiled. Good question. The answer is a bit of both. Jason Miller looked at him, surprised by the honesty. How so? Your competence caught my attention regardless of Emma. But the fact that you are dating my daughter gives me more confidence that you are a person of character. I understand. Jason Miller in the business world, personal referrals are normal. What matters is that the appointed person has the competence to live up to the trust placed in them. And what if my relationship with Emma ends? Then you'll still be a competent employee who was promoted on merit. Can I think about the proposal? You may. But I have one condition. What is it? I want you to talk to Emma about this. If you're going to build a life together, you need to make important decisions together. Jason Miller was impressed with William's wisdom. You're right. And Jason? Yes? Regardless of your decision about the job, I want you to know that you've earned my respect. It's not easy to handle all the pressure you're facing, but you're handling it with dignity. That night, Jason told Emma about the conversation with her father. And what do you want to do? She asked. Honestly, I want to accept. It's an incredible opportunity to grow professionally. Then accept it. But I'm afraid people will say I only got it because of you. Jason, there will always be someone saying something. What matters is that you know you deserve it. And you? Won't it be weird having your boyfriend work at your father's company? It'll be different. But I think it could be good too. We'll be able to build something together professionally. Like what? I don't know yet, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. The next day, Jason accepted William's proposal. The news caused even more talk at the supermarket, but he decided to ignore it and focus on work. His last week as a stocker was emotional. Several colleagues who had initially reacted badly to the news of their relationship came to say goodbye and wish him luck. Gonna miss the early morning shifts? Joked Mr. Thompson. I'm going to miss you all, Jason replied sincerely. Look, kid, you were always special. You deserve this chance. Just don't forget about us when you're up there. I could never forget. On his first day as a trainee, Jason arrived an hour early. He wanted to make a good impression from the start. The work was completely different. Meetings, reports, analyses, strategic planning. His supervisor in the new position was a 40-year-old woman named Jennifer, who had no idea about his personal connection to the family. Jason, your experience in the store will be very valuable here, she said during the introduction. You know the practical operation, which most trainees don't have. I hope to contribute with that perspective, and I hope you'll question our processes. Sometimes those on the outside see problems that those on the inside don't. The work was challenging but rewarding. Jason stood out for his dedication and ability to understand both the strategic and operational sides of the business. 3 months later, he received his first formal evaluation. Jason, you're among the best trainees we've ever had, said Jennifer. Really? Really? Your report on logistics optimization was brilliant. Management approved implementing your suggestions in 5 pilot stores. I can't believe it. Believe it, and there's more. They're considering accelerating your trainee program. It usually takes 2 years, but in your case it might be a year and a half. Jason left the meeting walking on air. He called Emma immediately. Honey, you won't believe what happened. Tell me, he recounted the entire conversation with Jennifer. I knew it, Emma shouted on the other end of the line. I knew you would stand out. Emma, this means I'm making it on my own merit. No one can say it was a favor. It was never a favor, Jason. It was always merit. That night they celebrated at a simple restaurant near the Seamstresses Cooperative. It was the same neighborhood where they'd had their second date months before. You know what this means? Said Emma. What? That we can start that course project for micro-entrepreneurs, you with more formal knowledge, me with more practical experience. You still want to do this? More than ever. In fact, I have a proposal for you. What? How about we move into our own apartment? Split expenses. Build an independent life. Jason Miller almost choked on his soda. Seriously, I think we're ready to take this step. But won't your family find it strange? My family will have to accept it. We're adults. We love each other. We can afford to live together. And your mother? What will she say? My mother already gave me her blessing. She said, if this is what makes me happy, she supports it. And my family? Your mother already knows too. We talked yesterday. You talked without me knowing. We did. And she said she thinks it's time for you to live your own life. Jason Miller fell silent, processing the information. Jason Miller? Said Emma, worried. You don't want to? I do, of course I do. It's a big change. Too big? No, big in a good way, in the sense that it's the next natural step. So should we look for an apartment? Let's. Over the following weekends, they visited several apartments. They wanted something affordable for both, in a middle-class neighborhood close to both their jobs. This one is perfect, said Emma, when they entered a 2-bedroom apartment in Williamsburg. It's nice, but it's too expensive for me, said Jason Miller. Jason Miller, we'll split it, and I can pay a larger share at first until you get more established at the company. No. If we're going to live together, it has to be 50-50. But that doesn't make sense. I earn more than you. For now. But I don't want to start our life together owing favors. It wouldn't be a favor. It would be a partnership. Emma, please, let's look for something that fits my budget too. They found a smaller, simpler but cozy apartment in a neighborhood near downtown. Will this work? She asked. This is perfect. They signed the contract that same day. The move was scheduled for the following month. I'm nervous, confessed Emma when they left the real estate agency. Why? It's the first time I'll live away from my parents' house. What if I don't know how to cook? What if I don't know how to take care of a house? Jason Miller laughed. I'll teach you. I learned out of necessity. What if we fight? What if we discover we're incompatible living together? Then we talk and work it out, like we do with everything. That's true. The move happened on a sunny Saturday. Both families helped carry boxes and furniture. It was a symbolic moment. Jason Miller leaving his family's simple home for an independent life. Emma leaving her parents' mansion to build something of her own. Are you sure this is what you want? Asked William Bennett to his daughter when they were alone in the new apartment. Absolutely, Daddy. And if it goes wrong? If it goes wrong, I'll go back home and start over. But if it goes right, I'll have built something real and true. William Bennett looked around the small apartment and sighed. It's not what I dreamed for you. I know, Dad, but it's what I dream for myself. And are you happy? I am. Very happy. Then it's okay. That's what matters. On the other side, Margaret was talking with Jason Miller in the kitchen. My son, are you sure about what you're doing? I am, Mom. She's a good girl, but you come from very different worlds. We're creating our own world. And if it doesn't work out? If it doesn't work out, at least we tried. But it will work out, Mom, I'm sure. Margaret hugged her son. Then I trust you. Just promise me you'll be happy. I promise. When everyone had left, Jason Miller and Emma were alone in the apartment for the first time. It was small, simple, but it was theirs. Now what? He asked. Now we live happily ever after. She laughed. Is that how the story ends? No. This is how the story begins. They kissed in the empty room, surrounded by boxes and plans for the future. Life as a couple brought challenges neither of them had imagined. Emma, used to having household help, had to learn to cook, clean, and organize the house. Jason Miller, accustomed to simplicity, had to adapt to her more refined tastes. Why did you buy this coffee? He asked one morning, looking at the very expensive package she had brought from the supermarket. Because it's what I always drink. Emma, this coffee costs more than my lunch for the whole week. Then let's drink cheaper coffee. You don't have to. Just let me know before you buy something really expensive so I don't have a heart attack when I see the bill. Small conflicts like this were constant at first. She spent without thinking, used to abundance. He saved every penny, marked by scarcity. Jason Miller, why don't you want me to pay the electric bill? She asked one day. Because we agreed to split everything 50-50. But if I can pay it by myself... Emma, it's not about being able to. It's about partnership. If you pay for everything, I'll feel like a freeloader. That's silly pride. It might be pride, but it's not silly. It's important to me to contribute equally. Okay, but if someday you're tight on money, tell me. We're a couple, we have to help each other. Agreed. But the same goes for you. If someday you want to save on something, tell me. Little by little, they found a balance. Emma learned to be more mindful of spending. Jason Miller learned to accept some occasional extravagances. 6 months after moving in together, they launched the project for courses for micro-entrepreneurs. They started small, a class of 10 people in the hall of the Seamstresses Cooperative. "Everyone, I'd like to introduce you to Jason Miller," said Emma in the first class. "He'll teach basic business administration, and I'll talk about marketing and sales." The class was made up of small business owners from the neighborhood, a young man who sold acai on the street, a lady who made sweets to order, a man who repaired appliances, a woman who sold cosmetics. "Before we begin," said Jason Miller, "I'd like each of you to share what your business is and what your biggest challenge is." The stories were touching and similar. Hard-working people who had good ideas but didn't know how to organize them financially. "I sell a lot of acai," said the young man Tyler, "but I never know if I'm making a profit or a loss." "I make the best sweets in the area," said Mrs. Parker, "but I don't know how to charge the right price." "I can fix any appliance," said Mr. Davis, "but I don't know how to advertise." For 3 months they met every Saturday. Jason Miller taught basic concepts of accounting, cash flow, and pricing. Emma talked about customer service, digital marketing, and networking. "Everyone, I want to show you something," said Tyler in the last class. "Look at my tracking spreadsheet." He had created a simple system to track his daily sales, expenses, and profits. "I found out I'd been selling at a loss for months," he laughed. "Now I know exactly how much I need to sell to make a profit. And I managed to increase my sales by 50%, said Mrs. Parker, "just by changing how I present my sweets to customers." "And I made a business card and a Facebook page," said Mr. Davis. "I'm getting new customers every week." By the end of the course, all the participants had significantly improved their businesses. Some decided to formalize as individual micro-entrepreneurs. Others created partnerships among themselves. "What you did here was amazing," said Olivia, Emma's friend who had followed the classes. "You need to expand this." "How?" asked Jason Miller. "Take this model to other neighborhoods, create a methodology, partner with business associations." "That's a good idea," said Emma. "What do you think?" she asked Jason Miller. "I think we have a business here." They spent the following weeks developing a business plan to expand the courses. Jason used all the knowledge he had acquired at the company. Emma contributed with her experience in social projects. "How about we call it Entreprenation?" she suggested. "I like the name. It conveys the idea of partnership." "And what about offering 3 formats? Basic course, advanced course, and individual mentoring?" "Perfect. And we can partner with banks to offer microcredit to those who complete the course." "Jason, do you think we can drop everything and dedicate ourselves solely to this?" "Not yet, but maybe in a year or 2 if it works out." They registered the trademark Entreprenation and began offering courses in different neighborhoods of the city. The demand was greater than they had imagined. "We received 15 requests for new classes just this week," said Emma, checking the emails. "We'll need to hire more instructors," replied Jason, "or train multipliers, people who took our courses and can replicate the methodology." "Good idea. Tyler and Mrs. Parker have already shown a lot of interest in helping." 1 year after the first course, Entreprenation had served over 300 micro-entrepreneurs in 15 different neighborhoods. The success stories multiplied. "Did you know that 80% of our students increased their income by at least 30%, said Jennifer, who had volunteered to conduct an impact survey. "Really?" asked Emma. "Really, and 60% managed to formalize their businesses as sole proprietors. The numbers are impressive." "And now," Jason asked Emma when they were alone, "now I think it's time for us to make a decision." "What decision? Whether we'll keep doing this as a hobby or turn it into our main profession." Jason became thoughtful. He was doing very well at the company with real prospects for promotion, but he also felt that the social project was his true passion. "What if it fails?" he asked. "What if it succeeds? Emma, you have a financial security that I don't. If the project fails, you go back to your father's company. Where do I go back to?" "To my father's company too. Do you think he would let you down?" "I don't know, maybe." "Jason, my father adores you. He said the other day that you're the son-in-law he didn't know he wanted to have. Really, really. He's impressed with your dedication, your work ethic, your intelligence. And what if it still fails? Then we start over, together. Jason thought for a few days before making the decision. He talked with his mother, with Megan, with William, with Jennifer at work. "Jason," said William when he sought his advice, "you're 25 years old. It's the perfect age to take risks. If it fails, you'll still have time to rebuild. If it succeeds, you'll have built something very special. But what if I go bankrupt and can't support Emma in the standard she's accustomed to?" "Son, Emma chose you. She knew you weren't rich when you started dating. If she wanted financial comfort, she would have stayed with one of the heirs who surrounded her. And you? Aren't you bothered by the possibility of your daughter having a financially unstable life?" "I am bothered, yes. I won't lie. But I'm more bothered by the possibility of her not being happy. And you two together are happier than anyone I've ever seen." In the end, Jason decided to take the risk. He resigned from the company and dedicated himself fully to entrepreneurship. "Are you sure?" asked Jennifer on his last day. "No," laughed Jason, "but sometimes you have to do things without being sure." Success, Jason. And if you ever want to come back, the doors will be open. The first year as entrepreneurs was challenging. There were months when they could barely pay the apartment bills, others where they had to choose between investing in the business or dining out. "Do you regret it?" asked Emma one night when they were eating instant noodles for the third time that week. "No," replied Jason Miller. "And you?" "Not either. Actually, I've never felt so professionally fulfilled. Even eating ramen. You know what's funny?" "What?" "When we met, you were rich and I was poor. Now we're poor together." "We're not poor. We're early career entrepreneurs." "That's a nicer way of saying we're broke." "Yeah, but we're broke together, and that makes all the difference." The second year brought recognition. Entreprenation won a Social Innovation Award. They received invitations to present the methodology in other cities. Big companies started approaching them for partnerships. "Jason, turn on the TV to Channel 5, shouted Emma from the kitchen. "Why?" "Just turn it on." On television, there was a report about innovative social projects. Entreprenation was being presented as a success model. The project created by the couple Jason and Emma has already impacted over 1,000 micro-entrepreneurs, said the reporter. The innovative methodology combines technical knowledge with social sensitivity. "I can't believe it," said Jason. "Believe it. We did it." "Did what?" "Built something that works. That makes a difference." "That's ours." 3 years after their first meeting at the fancy restaurant, Jason and Emma were at an awards ceremony, receiving national recognition for the project's social impact. "When we started," said Jason in his acceptance speech, "we never imagined we'd get this far. We just wanted to help a few people organize their small businesses better." "Today," continued Emma, "Entreprenation is in 50 cities and has impacted over 5,000 entrepreneurs. But the most important thing isn't the numbers. The most important thing," Jason added, "is that every person who went through our courses discovered they have the potential to grow, to prosper, to achieve their dreams. And that no one has to go it alone," Emma concluded. "It's always possible to find partners, whether in business or in life." After the ceremony, they went to dinner at a simple barbecue joint, the kind of place they regularly went to. "Remember our first date?" asked Emma. "How could I forget? You bought ice cream for the entire restaurant. And you were mortified with embarrassment." "I was. I thought it was the end of the world. And it was the beginning of everything." "Emma, can I ask you a question?" "Sure." "Do you regret anything?" "Fighting with my shallow friends? No. Moving out of my parents' house? No. Investing our money in the project? No. And falling in love with a poor guy?" "Jason, you weren't poor. You were hard-working. It's different." "But what if I were truly poor, without prospects, without ambition? Then I wouldn't have fallen in love." "Why?" "Because it wasn't your bank account that attracted me. It was your dignity, your honesty, your determination to succeed in life without compromising your values. And now? Now that we have a successful business, that we're recognized, that we have financial stability, now I fall in love with you all over again every day. Why? Because you're still the same person, Aim. You still treat everyone with respect. You still work like you depend on it to survive. You still dream of making a difference in the world. Jason took her hand on the table. Emma, there's something I've been thinking about for a few months. What? How about we get married? She almost choked on her soda. Seriously? Seriously. 3 years living together, building a life together, making dreams come true together. I think it's time to make it official. Jason Miller, are you proposing to me at a barbecue joint? I am. This is where we feel most at home. This is where we're most ourselves. And the ring? What ring? The engagement ring. Oh, Jason Miller blushed. I just didn't know if you'd say yes. I thought I'd buy it later. Emma laughed. Jason Miller, the first thing you ever gave me was a colorful popsicle on a silver tray. Do you think I need a ring? Do you? I don't need one, but I want one. Then let's buy one tomorrow. No, let's buy it now. Now? But the stores are closed. There's a jewelry store at the mall that's open until 10, but it's kind of expensive. Jason Miller, we have money. We have a thriving business. We can afford this luxury. That's true. Sometimes I still forget we're not broke anymore. And sometimes I forget I don't need to pinch every penny anymore. They left the barbecue joint and went straight to the mall. The jewelry store was about to close when they arrived. Can I help you? Asked the saleswoman. We'd like to look at engagement ring, said Emma. Of course, any specific style? Something simple, but beautiful, replied Jason Miller. The saleswoman showed them several options. They chose a white gold ring with a small but well-cut diamond. This one is perfect, said Emma. Are you sure? Don't you want to see others? I'm sure. Jason Miller put the ring on her finger right there in the store. Emma Bennett, will you marry me? Jason Miller, I will. They kissed in front of the saleswoman, who smiled with emotion. You make a beautiful couple, she said. Thank you, replied Emma. We've been together for 3 years, and we're still discovering things about each other. That's how it is. Marriage is a constant discovery. When they left the store, Emma called her mother. Mom, I have some news. What news? I'm getting married. To Jason Miller? Of course to Jason Miller. Oh, my daughter. What joy. When? We haven't decided yet. We just got engaged. Your father will be so happy. Jason Miller called his mother. Mom, can I come over with Emma? We have some news to share. Of course, son. Did something happen? Yes, it did. Good things. They went to Margaret's house, where they found the family gathered watching television. Everyone, said Jason Miller, we want to tell you something. Go ahead, said Megan. Emma and I are getting married. Margaret screamed with joy and ran to hug them both. Megan started crying with emotion. I knew it, she said. I knew you two would get married. How did you know? Asked Emma. By the way you look at each other. It's the same way my father looked at my mother. Margaret held Emma's hands. Welcome officially to the family, my daughter. Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. Do you accept me as your daughter-in-law? I accept you with all my love. You make my son happy, and that's enough for me. They spent hours talking about wedding plans. They wanted something simple, but that would bring both families and close friends together. What about having it at the Co-ops Hall? Suggested Emma. Seriously? Asked Jason Miller. Seriously. That's where we started building something together. It would be symbolic. And your family. Won't they think it's strange? My family will have to adjust. The wedding is ours, not theirs. The next day, they shared the news with William and Victoria. Finally, said William. I've been waiting for this for months. You have? Asked Jason Miller, surprised. Of course, you're perfect for each other. You just needed to make it official. And where are you planning to have the ceremony? Asked Victoria. At the Seamstress Co-ops Hall, replied Emma. Victoria and William exchanged a look. Honey, said Victoria gently, Wouldn't it be better somewhere more suitable? Suitable for whom? Asked Emma. To receive our guests, Jason Miller's family, friends. Mum, our real friends will be happy anywhere. And if someone doesn't come because they didn't like the venue, it's because they're not truly our friend. William sighed. Emma, are you sure this is what you want? Absolutely, Dad. Then it's decided. We'll throw the most beautiful wedding the community center has ever seen. The wedding preparations took 3 months. Emma insisted on doing the decorations with her own hands, helped by the seamstresses from the cooperative. Jason took care of the logistics, sound, food, drinks. It will be simple but elegant, said Emma to Mrs. Henderson, with natural flowers, white fabrics, LED lights. And the food? Asked Mrs. Henderson. Simple buffet, salads, pasta, grilled meats, nothing too fancy. And the cake? Mrs. Parker will make it. She's the best baker I know. Mrs. Parker, the sweets lady who had taken the entrepreneurship course, was moved by the invitation. I'll make the most beautiful cake of my life, she promised. On the wedding day, the community center was unrecognizable. White fabrics covered the walls, wildflowers adorned the tables, golden lights created a warm atmosphere. It's beautiful, said Victoria to William. Truly beautiful. Yes, our daughter has good taste. And our son-in-law too. The two families mingled naturally. Margaret chatted animatedly with Emma's cousins. Megan became friends with the girls from the social project. William exchanged business ideas with some of the micro-entrepreneurs who had been students in the course. Jason was nervous, adjusting his tie for the 10th time. Calm down, bro, said Megan. She'll be here soon. What if she changes her mind? What if she realizes she's making a mistake? Jason, she loves you. For 3 years, she won't back out now. Emma arrived a few minutes later, in a simple but elegant dress, no veil, carrying a bouquet of wildflowers. She looks beautiful, whispered Margaret. She really does, agreed William with tears in his eyes. The ceremony was conducted by a justice of the peace who was a family friend. Simple, quick, but moving. Jason Miller, said the judge, do you take Emma Bennett to be your wife? I do, he answered, his voice choked. Emma Bennett, do you take Jason Miller to be your husband? I do, she answered, smiling through her tears. Then I now pronounce you husband and wife. The kiss was long and passionate, accompanied by applause and shouts of joy from everyone present. The party that followed was simple but very lively. American music, conversations between people meeting for the first time, stories being told and retold. Did you know, said Tyler, the acai guy, during the toast, that these two changed my life? How? Someone asked. Before their course, I sold acai without knowing if I was making or losing money. Today I have 3 sales points and managed to get my mom out of the rental house. And we, said Mrs. Parker, learned that our small businesses can grow if we know how to manage them. But the most important thing, said Mrs. Henderson, is that they showed us that people from different worlds can come together to do good things. William stood up to make a toast. When my daughter brought Jason Miller to meet me, I confess I had prejudices, he said honestly. I thought a young man from the projects wouldn't be suitable for her. Some people were embarrassed, but William continued. How wrong I was. Jason is not only suitable for my daughter, he is the person she needed to be truly happy. And more than that, he taught me that value isn't measured by money in the bank, but by character, dedication, and generosity. Today, he continued, I'm not losing a daughter. I'm gaining a son, and I couldn't be prouder of both of them. Tears streamed down the faces of almost everyone present. Jason Miller stood up to respond. Mr. Bennett, when I met your daughter, I thought it was too much luck to be true. A beautiful, intelligent woman from a good family interested in a guy like me. Then I discovered it wasn't luck. It was destiny. Emma and I were made for each other, not despite our differences, but because of them. She taught me that it's possible to dream big. I taught her that it's possible to be happy with simple things. Together we discovered we can build something bigger than ourselves. And to all the people here today, he looked around the hall, thank you for being part of our story. You are our extended family, our community, our support network. And most of all, he turned to Emma, thank you for believing that a colorful popsicle on a silver tray could be the beginning of a great love story. Everyone laughed and applauded. Emma stood up and kissed her husband in the middle of the hall. The party continued late into the night. When the last guests had left, Jason and Emma were alone in the hall, surrounded by the remains of the celebration. We did it, she said. Did what? Brought two different worlds together in one party. Your family, my family, our friends, the small business owners, everyone having fun together. It's true. I think that's our specialty. What? Bringing together things that seem impossible to combine. Like what? Like a poor boy and a rich girl. Like profitable businesses and social responsibility. Like simplicity and elegance. Like love and practical reality. Exactly. They sat on the floor of the hall, still dressed as bride and groom, contemplating what they had built together. Jason, can I tell you a secret? Of course. When I was little, I always imagined what my wedding would be like. I dreamed of a huge church, a princess dress, a party with 500 guests. And now? Now I know I didn't want a princess wedding. I wanted a real people's wedding, and that's exactly what we had. Emma, can I tell you a secret too? Of course. When I was little, I never imagined I would get married. I thought it was too big a dream for a boy from the projects. And now? Now I know it wasn't about being from the projects or not. It was about finding the right person. And did you find her? I did. They kissed in the empty hall, surrounded by wilted flowers and leftover cake, but happier than they had ever been in their lives. 5 years after the wedding, Jason and Emma were at an international conference on social entrepreneurship in London, presenting the Entreprenation methodology to representatives from 40 countries. Our project started with 10 people in a borrowed room, Emma told the audience. Today we serve 50,000 small business owners in 200 American cities. But the most important thing, Jason continued, isn't the numbers. It's the human transformation we witness every day. After the presentation, they walked through the streets of London, enjoying a break in the schedule. Remember when we ate ramen noodles to save money? Asked Emma. I remember. You complained you were sick of instant noodles. And you said it was just a phase, that it would pass. I was right. It passed. Jason, can I ask you a question? Of course. Are you happy? Very. And you? Me too. But sometimes I wonder if we're not missing something. How so? We work a lot, travel a lot, always chasing after projects, speeches, meetings. And what do you think we're missing? Time for us, for dating, for staying home doing nothing. Do you want to slow down? I do, and I have something else in mind too. What? I want to have children. Jason Miller stopped in the middle of the sidewalk. Really? Really? I think the time has come. But what about work? Work can wait a little. We have a good team. The project is well established. We can afford to slow down. Emma, are you sure? Children change everything. They change things for the better, Jason Miller. Imagine teaching our children about social responsibility. Imagine showing them it's possible to build a better world. Imagine explaining to them how Mommy and Daddy met. Once upon a time, a boy who only had money for one ice pop, and a girl who discovered that the sweetest love comes from the simplest things. Jason Miller, do you want to have children with me? I do, very much. Then let's start trying when we get back to the United States. Deal. 2 years later, they were at the hospital, welcoming their first daughter. What should we name her? Asked Jason Miller, holding the baby in his arms. Hope, answered Emma. Hope? Because she represents everything we've built together. Love, partnership, dreams come true, and the hope for an even better future. Hope Miller Bennett. Perfect. When they brought Hope home, they found both families gathered in the apartment, now larger, which they had bought 2 years before. Let Grandma hold her, said Margaret, reaching out her arms. Now it's Grandma Victoria's turn, said Victoria, vying for her granddaughter. She's beautiful, said Megan, now a psychology graduate working with the Entreprenation team. She got the family's good looks, joked William. "Which family?" asked Jason Miller. "Both," replied William, smiling. That night, when everyone had left, Jason Miller and Emma were alone with their daughter. "Can you believe it?" she asked. "Believe what?" "Everything. Us, our story, our family. Sometimes it does feel like a dream." "Jason Miller, remember the first time you told me you loved me?" "I remember, in the neighborhood square, after you showed me the cooperative. And remember what I said?" "You said you loved me too." "And what else?" "That you wanted us to take it slow, without expectations." "And we did. We tried and it worked." "More than worked. It worked perfectly." Hope murmured in her crib, and they moved closer to watch her sleep. "What kind of world are we going to leave for her?" asked Emma. "A better world than the one we found, a world where people aren't judged by their background, but by their character. A world where love overcomes differences, and where colorful ice pops can be the start of great stories." 5 years later, in the backyard of the house they had bought on the west side of New York City, Jason Miller was pushing Hope on the swing, while Emma set up a simple but lovingly prepared birthday table. "Hiya, Daddy!" shouted the little girl, laughing. "Not too high, Jason Miller," warned Emma. "You know how brave she is." "Takes after her father," joked Margaret, who was helping arrange the sweets on the table. "And her mother's stubbornness," added William, arriving with a huge present. "Daddy, you've overdone it again," said Emma. "Oh, it's my granddaughter's birthday. I can spoil her a little." The party was simple: family, some close friends, colleagues from Entreprenation, and a few former students from their courses who had become personal friends. "Aunt Parker brought cake," announced Hope, running toward the lady carrying a castle-shaped cake. "Of course I did, my dear. It's the most special cake I've ever made." Mrs. Parker, now owner of a thriving bakery, never forgot Hope's birthdays. For her, that family represented the turning point in her life. "Tyler is here too," shouted the little girl, seeing the former acai seller arrive, now owner of a small chain of ice cream shops. "Hi, Princess. I brought your favorite flavor," he said, handing over a tub of artisanal ice cream. "Strawberry with chocolate?" "Strawberry with chocolate." The party unfolded with the simplicity that characterized the family. The children played in the backyard, the adults talked about work and life, and everyone seemed genuinely happy to be there. During the birthday song, Hope made a wish and blew out all 5 candles at once. "What did you wish for?" asked Jason Miller. "I can't tell you or it won't come true," she replied seriously. "But you can give us a hint," insisted Emma. "I wish that Mommy and Daddy would always be happy, and that I get a little brother." Jason Miller and Emma exchanged glances, smiling. Their daughter's wish was no coincidence. Emma was 2 months pregnant, but they hadn't told anyone yet. "Maybe your wish will come true," said Emma, winking at her husband. After the guests left and Hope fell asleep, the couple sat on the living room couch, exhausted but happy. "I think we can share the news about the baby at the next family gathering," said Emma. "Do you think it's time?" "I do. We're past the first trimester, and the tests are all good." "And how are you feeling?" "Good. Less morning sickness than the first time." "And work? Will you be able to balance 2 children with your projects?" "We'll manage. We have an excellent team and you're a very present father." "Emma, can I ask you a question?" "Of course." "Do you regret anything? Leaving your comfort zone, standing up to your family at the beginning, building a life so different from what you were used to?" Emma took a few seconds to answer. "You know what I regret?" "What?" "Not having met you sooner. Wasting time with people who weren't worth it. But if we had met earlier, maybe it wouldn't have worked out. Maybe I wouldn't have been mature enough, or you wouldn't have been ready to step out of your bubble." "That's true. We met at the right time. At the popsicle moment. At the moment when I needed authenticity, and you needed an opportunity. And now we have everything we ever dreamed of. A beautiful family, work that makes a difference, financial stability, true love. And what do we dream of now? Now we dream of watching our children grow up, of leaving a positive legacy in the world, of growing old together, of telling our grandchildren the popsicle story." "Exactly." The next day, during a meeting of the Entreprenation team, they announced the pregnancy. "Everyone, we have some news to share," said Jason Miller. "I'm pregnant," added Emma, smiling. The team erupted in celebration. Megan, now the project's educational coordinator, was the first to hug her sister-in-law. "I knew it," she said. "You've had a different look on your face these past few weeks." "And now," asked Olivia, "how will we organize things?" "The way we always organize things," replied Jason Miller, "with planning and teamwork." "I'll reduce my travel during the last months of the pregnancy," said Emma, "but I can continue coordinating the local projects." "And I'll take on more operational responsibilities," added Jason Miller. "You can count on us," said Richard. "We're a family here." 6 months later, Michael was born, a calm and smiling boy who completed the family's happiness. "Now we have one of each," said William Bennett, holding his grandson in his arms. "And you're not stopping," joked Victoria. "2 is good for now," laughed Emma. "Let's see how we do with these." Entreprenation continued to grow. Now present in 15 states, it had become a national reference in entrepreneurial education for low-income communities. Jason Miller and Emma received invitations to speak abroad. International organizations requested their methodology for consultations, and universities wanted to study their model. "We received an invitation from the UN," said Jason Miller one morning, showing the email to Emma. "For what?" "To present the project at a world conference on poverty eradication." "Where? New York?" "When?" 2 months from now." "Jason, Michael will be 6 months old. I'm not sure it's a good idea to travel. What if we all go? The children, you, me. We'll make it a mini-family vacation. It would be the boys' first international trip. And what a trip! To represent the United States at a UN conference, when you put it that way. Shall we? Let's go." The trip to New York was a milestone for the family. Hope, at 5 years old, was fascinated by the tall buildings. Michael, still a baby, slept through almost the entire flight. "Daddy, why are you going to speak to so many people?" asked Hope while they visited the UN building. "Because we want to teach other people how to help those in need," explained Jason, "like how you help Uncle Tyler and Aunt Parker." "Exactly." "And will people from other countries do the same?" "We hope so." "That's so cool. Are you famous?" "We're not famous, sweetheart. We're just people working to do good." "But it's the same thing, isn't it?" Emma and Jason exchanged glances, amused by their daughter's childlike logic. The presentation at the UN was a success. The entreprenation methodology was praised by representatives from various countries, and several organizations expressed interest in replicating the model. "You've created something extraordinary," said a European Union representative after the presentation. "We didn't do it alone," replied Emma. "We had help from hundreds of people along the way." "And what was the secret to your success?" "Believing that every person has potential," answered Jason, "and giving them the necessary tools to develop that potential." "And persistence," added Emma, "never giving up, even when things get tough." Back in the United States, they found the project even stronger. The team had managed everything perfectly in their absence, proving that entreprenation had become bigger than its founders. "I'm proud of all of you," Emma told the team at a welcome back meeting. "And we're proud of you," replied Megan. "You represented the United States with great dignity. Now let's see what we do with all these international partnership proposals," said Jason, showing the stack of documents they'd brought back. 10 years after their first meeting, Jason and Emma were sitting in their garden, watching Hope, now 8 years old, teach 3-year-old Michael how to ride a bike. "Slow down, sis," said Michael, nervous. "Trust me," answered Hope. "Daddy taught me this way." "What if I fall?" "If you fall, I'll help you up. That's how it works in our family." Emma smiled, listening to her children's conversation. "She already gets it, doesn't she?" she said to Jason. "Gets what?" "The most important thing, that we help each other, that no one gets left behind." She learned from the best examples. From Grandma Margaret, who raised you all alone. From Grandpa William, who learned to value people for their character. From Aunt Megan, who dedicates her life to helping others. And from parents who truly love each other. "Jason, can I confess something?" "Of course," Sometimes I still can't believe all this is real, our family, our work, our story. Why? Because it's too perfect. Because everything worked out too well. Emma, it didn't work out because of luck. It worked out because we worked to make it work. That's true. And because we never gave up on each other, even during the hard times. During the ramen noodle times. During the fights about money. During the times people said it wouldn't work out. And it did. More than just worked out. Michael managed to ride a few meters alone on the bike before stopping, scared but smiling. "I did it," he shouted. "You did," confirmed Hope, clapping. "Did you see?" said Jason Miller to Emma. "That's how it works. We support each other, celebrate victories together, and when someone falls, we help them up." "That's how it works in our family," agreed Emma. "And that's how it works in our work. And that's how it should work in the world." That night, after the children fell asleep, they sat on the porch drinking tea and watching the stars. "Emma, can I ask you a question I've always wanted to ask?" "Of course." "When you saw that popsicle on the silver tray on our first date, what was your first thought?" "My first thought was, what an embarrassing situation." "And the second?" "The second was, what an honest man." "Why?" "Because you could have made up an excuse. You could have said you were allergic, that you were on a diet, anything, but you asked for the popsicle because it was what you could afford, and that told me everything about who you were." "And what did that tell you?" "That you were real, authentic, that you didn't pretend to be someone you weren't." "And was that what made you fall in love?" "That and so much more." "But yes, it was mostly that." "Jason, can I ask you the same question?" "Of course. When I took that popsicle and bit into it, what was your first thought?" "My first thought was, she's doing this out of politeness." "And the second?" "The second was, no, she's not. She really understood." "Understood what?" That moment wasn't about money or status. It was about two people getting to know each other, and that you were willing to set everything else aside to live that moment with me." "And was that what made you fall in love? That and the way you defended our love to everyone who doubted us?" They were silent for a few minutes, lost in their memories. "You know what I love most about our story?" said Emma. "What?" "That it proves true love exists. That two very different people can complete each other. That it's possible to build a life based on values, not money." "And you know what I love most?" "What?" "That our story isn't over. We're writing new chapters every day. With our children, with our work, with the people we help, and especially with each other." "Jason, thank you." "Why?" "For agreeing to share that popsicle with me 10 years ago." "Emma, thank you." "Why?" "For looking beyond the silver tray, for seeing who I really was." They kissed on the porch, under the stars, 10 years after their first kiss, still in love like the first day. "And now?" she asked. "Now we continue. Continue loving, continue dreaming, continue building, continue making a difference in the world. One popsicle at a time, one person at a time, one story at a time." And so ended another day in the life of Jason Miller and Emma, two people who proved that true love overcomes any difference, that dreams can come true when there's hard work and dedication, and that sometimes the best stories begin with the simplest gestures. In the kitchen of the house, stuck on the refrigerator, there was still a photo of their first date, taken by a restaurant customer on that historic night. Jason Miller, red with embarrassment, Emma smiling with a colorful popsicle in her hand, and between them on a silver tray the dessert that changed their lives forever. End of story. So, dear listener, what did you think of this story of perseverance and true love? Do you believe Jason and Emma made the right decisions throughout their journey? Tell us in the comments what was your favorite part of this moving story. Don't forget to leave your like to support our channel, and most importantly, subscribe so you don't miss other touching stories like this one. Thank you so much for your company on this beautiful journey.